are trying to improve yourself? Show of hands. Wonderful, that's great. Well, I'm here to tell you that the first step to the journey of self-improvement is inquiring within, knowing thyself. Because if you don't know where you start, how will you ever get to where you want to be? You'll be just, it's like driving a car and sitting in front of the steering wheel and going, go. So today what I'd like to do is share with you 3 ways that you can inquire within, discover who you are, and know thyself. Some of them will be easier than others, but at least one of them should be right for you. Choose one, try them all, but start your journey to self-discovery so that you can become a better, higher version of yourself. The first method is something I call having a conversation with God moment. Basically what you do is you take a journal and you get centered so that you're in touch with your higher self, and then you ask the question and let the answer bubble forth. Sometimes nothing bubbles forth, and that's okay. But other times, profound insights you didn't even know you had about yourself will come forth. One time I was asking about my business, and I realized the answer that came forth was that the reason why I wasn't being more visible in my business was because I was hiding behind my fear. I ended up writing a blog post about it. It was so profound. And I shared it with friends, and they were all like, yeah, I do that too. Again, the conversations with God moment. It's like the book. You just sat down and started writing to God, and God answered. This one, you're writing to your higher self. And your higher self knows you better than you know yourself in this 3-dimensional body. The second way that you can inquire within and know thyself is to take a look at the themes and threads and patterns within your life. Now, there are many ways to do that. One way that's very analytical, so to speak, is to create a timeline. You can get one sheet of paper and put on one end, I was born, and on the other end, today, and then write down all the events and memories and significant moments of your life. Or you can take each sheet of paper and say, this is the 1970s, this is the 1980s, or whatever decades you happen to have in your life. And each sheet will be dedicated to a decade. But basically what happens is you're doing a brain dump of all the significant memories of your life. Anything that pops up, from family things, school things, work things, moving, anything. Falling down and skinning your knee, if that's what comes up for you, write it all down. And then take a look at what you've written. Themes will show up. Lessons that maybe you haven't learned that keep coming up. There'll be patterns. And this will be a key to part of who you are and where you're going, where you can make improvements. Another way to do this is to take a look at your favorite characters and heroes in your life. These are characters in your movies, TVs, books, real life people. Who are the characters in your life that you gravitate to? So for example, my favorite character in the 100-Acre Wood is Tigger. Now on the surface, that's really obvious because Tigger's a really hoppy guy, and I have ADD, so I can't sit still. But there's another layer under that too. Because one of the things that I really like about Tigger is how open and loving he is. He's willing to accept anyone who comes into his life at face value and love them. And I'm like that too. I don't judge people until they do something bad. Then I'll judge all over them. I try not to, but I am. Another example, and this is one of my favorite games, and I am letting you know that I am a geek, and that is, who's your favorite Star Trek character? And if you look at any, it can work for any TV show, but in mine, my favorite characters were like Spock and Data. And again, on the surface, it makes sense because they were the intellectual characters. I'm very smart. But go deeper, and you'll notice that both of them were dealing with the challenge of balancing intellect with emotion. Spock was trying to hide his emotions, data was trying to express them. They both came at that same dichotomy from a different angle. And given the life I've had, I've often had a struggle around that particular balance. So take a look at the characters that you really relate to in your life. See what the surface is, then go deeper. What's the underlying reason that you are attracted to that character? The third way I'd like to share is kind of counterintuitive because you're actually inquiring without. And that is, ask the people in your life what they think of you. One woman, Marcia Leader, she wrote a book and she suggested that you write 3 people and ask them, if you saw me in a perfect job, what would that perfect job be and why? When I did that exercise, it was amazing to see the things that other people saw in me that I didn't recognize in myself. Another question you can ask is, what is the first adjective that comes to mind when you think about me? Again, ask several people and you'll notice there's a trend. And what bubbles forth from this exercise is that they see strengths in you that you don't recognize because you take them for granted. I recently had a conversation with a roommate of mine from college. And I was talking to her on the phone. I was laughing because I called her the day before to wish her happy birthday. Saying happy birthday, and at the very end I realized, oh my God, I forgot to say who I was. This is Carma. And then I went on, and she just thought that was so funny. She goes, Carma, you are larger than life. And I'm like, me? It's just me. And then she went on to explain that the reason why she thought of me as larger than life is because I'm so exuberant and out there and open. And I do things, okay, sometimes without thinking. I often will leave and then go, oh yeah, I probably forgot that parachute. And that's what made her think I was larger than life. And so she made me see a part of myself that I didn't realize was there. So again, the first step to becoming the best, higher version of yourself is to inquire within. And I gave you 3 ways to do that. Conversations with God, journaling, timelines, and asking your friends and colleagues. Take them or leave them, but take some time and some technique to discover who you really are.